Welcome back, folks. This is going to be an informational and educational video regarding the first 4 guns that every Canadian hunter should have in his arsenal. So stick with me for another episode of ASI Outdoors while I go through the top 4 guns that every Canadian needs to own. So number 1 on our list is going to be a 22 long rifle, specifically the Canadian-made Savage 64B or Savage 64F. And that is a cheap, inexpensive rifle that is sitting in around $200, give or take, depending on what model that you decide to go with. It has a lot of Canadian heritage, was initially designed by Cooey, then was made by Winchester, and then of course made by Savage in Lakefield, Ontario. Kind of some cool history there that they actually used to be producing boats, and then I guess decided that it was the closest thing to gun manufacturing was producing both, so they bought all the factory and stuff like that and then converted it to actually manufacture firearms, which is pretty interesting. Why I think that the Savage 64 is a good choice for most people, it's my personal go-to that I use. Great for introducing people who are new shooters to things like how to use a scope properly, hunting small game like grouse, rabbits, squirrels, and other things like that. Also gives you cheap, affordable ammo so that you can have more time on the gun practicing at the range, with ammo prices in and around 60 to 70 Canadian dollars for about 500 rounds, give or take, again, what kind of ammunition that you decide to use. One notable thing is that the Savage 64 tends to be a little bit jammy when you first buy it. Kind of needs to seat into itself and get, work through the kinks with wearing some material away and just, wearing in like any other gun would. Might want to also pick up a nice scope for it. You don't have to go crazy, but a nice rimfire dedicated scope is nice for the gun and will also help increase your accuracy on things like, again, small game, other stuff like that. So that's why that's going to be our number 1 pick that all Canadians need to own in their firearms arsenal. The number 2 gun on our list that all Canadian new hunters need is a bolt-action hunting rifle. My personal preference is the Savage Axis. That's the first hunting rifle I ever owned. I actually bought it used when I had it, a couple 3 to 4 years old, with the Bushnell 4200 Elite scope. Would suggest also potentially trying to find something used. There's nothing wrong with having something that's had a few rounds through it or that somebody else has used before. Good way to save a little bit of money for anybody out there. It's nice and lightweight, super accurate. I've never had any issues with the jamming. I just recently put a newer style Vector Optics Hugo scope on my rifle. It's a cheaper budget option that's made in China, kind of higher quality China made though, not your usual Chinesium. Definitely a good option for anybody out there who's looking to get into something on a budget and also get out there in the field. Can typically find hunting rifles in and around $500 with a scope, again, in a bunch of different calibers. My suggested caliber for somebody who is a younger hunter or maybe a smaller stature, female, something like that, would be a 308. It's easy to find ammunition, recoil is lighter, it's very flat shooting and very accurate, typically speaking. And again, with cheaper ammunition prices, it'll give you an option to get more time on the gun and become more proficient and more accurate. So when you do end up finding an animal, you take the ethical shot that you can, don't make things suffer more than they have to, etc. And then of course, my personal preference for a hunting rifle is going to be the 270. I've used the 270, the 30-06, 375 H&H. I personally think 270 is kind of a good all-around for kind of game in North America. There's a reason that Jack O'Connor loved it so much and wrote so much about it. That's just, again, a personal opinion of mine though. And that leaves number 3 on our list, which is going to be a 12 gauge shotgun. So my personal preference is the Remington 870. So the Remington 870 is a proven shotgun. It's been around for quite a while, was made popular in the 1950s, and is still even popular to this day after the bankruptcy of Remington. Of course, they're now starting to come back. My suggestion would be also to grab a second barrel. So either get one that comes in a combo kit, which can be found, like with the Maverick 88 or the Mossberg 500, which are also good options. The Mossberg 500 has dual extractors, which is nice. I know that's kind of a failure point on the 870. There's a couple other small things on the 870 that are kind of not as good as the Mossberg 500, so it is actually the better of the two. But I would suggest getting a 28-inch barrel that you can use for waterfowl, upland game, even run slug through it if you are going to be hunting deer in places that are like some of the small islands close to Vancouver Island, or some other places where it might be an agricultural zone that only allows shotgun only. So I would suggest running a shorter style barrel for bear defense and things like that you can take in the woods with you if you're going to go for a hike or a walk or what have you, just keep yourself safe for wilderness protection. Makes it easier and less cumbersome than carrying around a big shotgun with the Elmer Fudd 28-inch barrel on it. That would be my suggestion. Of course, 12 gauge is going to give you a little bit more recoil, but the ammo is substantially cheaper. There's more selection for ammunition as well. And all around, you're probably just better off getting the 12 gauge. Be my suggestion for you guys, so definitely a good something to start with. Another thing to note about the shotgun is you want to get something with at least a 3-inch chamber, because that's going to allow you to run 3-inch shells. Even if you could get up into a 3.5-inch, then that'll allow you to run basically every kind of 12 gauge shell there is. Of course, the longer the shell, the more shot they can put in there and the more powder, so you're just going to have a more effective shot and be more effective for hunting. And then the fourth and final gun that every Canadian needs, that I'd say is the most important one on this entire list, is going to be the SKS. I would suggest getting one of the French ticklers that have recently came in within the last few years here. They're in really great shape. More modern recent design from the 70s. Acolyte handguard on the front top portion. And it's just a super nice piece for anyone who's interested in a little piece of history as well. A nice hunting gun as well. For example, if you weren't able to afford the Boltaction, or you wanted to, combine those kind of options together, you can use the SKS for deer hunting, even bear hunting and other things like that, within about 150 yards reliably. Ammunition is cheap. Hunting ammunition is also fairly cheap, and it's a great Canadian gun for people. There's a reason why a lot of Canadian First Nations sustenance hunters use them, because they're super reliable, especially in cold climates. You have a little bit of dirt or something like that in the action, it's not going to stop it from working. It's just that kind of old school Russian reliability, of course, was then adopted by the Chinese when they decided to lend them the tooling and teach them how to, make them themselves. I would also suggest, if you do pick one up, to leave it in the original wood configuration, because right now, who knows what's going to happen with the TAPCO stocks and other things that they're planning to put in place with laws. You might be better off just keeping it in its original configuration and enjoying it how it is. Of course, loading it through the top with stripper clips makes it also quite convenient, and you can fit them in your pocket easy. You don't have to worry about something like a magazine falling out, or you forgetting something like a magazine, as the box magazine is a part of the gun there. And even if you do flip it down, it does stay retained to the actual firearm. That's going to be your top 4 guns, and the top 4 Canadian guns that everyone needs to own. I'd also like to say at the end of this video, support your local gun lobby. Whether that's the CCFR or the NFA, whatever you decide, go ahead, support them, of course, if you can. It's the only way we're going to win this firearms fight against our legally lawful acquired firearms from us. Of course, we still have our merch there, which is going to be in the comments section. Currently, unfortunately, it is priced in US dollars due to a glitch on my website that I haven't been able to fix yet. I have accounted for the prices in US dollars to Canadian, and you're still getting the best deal that you would. We'll have a better website soon with stuff in Canadian dollars for anyone that is wondering. Thanks everyone for sticking with me. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Yes, I am here. I do like to wear the sunglasses. It's a bit of a vibe. No, I'm not about hiding my face, but I'm just going to keep it going at this point because why not? So if you've watched some of my other hunting videos, you'll know that I'm no stranger, but you know what? I think I just look maybe slightly cooler with the sunglasses, so thanks everyone.